Right, in today's video we are going to hang this model airplane from a wire. Okay, now you probably did this when you was, especially if you was a boy, hung these model aircraft from fishing line from your bedroom ceiling. So I certainly did. So this really brought back some memories when I downloaded this model, and I thought, I know what we'll do. We'll hang this up and see if we can convincingly hang these planes up and have them interact and hang properly, right? So the good news is Cinema now has finally rigid body in the simulation system. Yay! We struggled a lot with this. We had to use the cloth tag. We had to try and make it less cloth. Didn't work. And then we come up with putting it in a cage. Didn't quite work because we had to contour around the object, and it didn't quite work as well. Certainly not as quick as now. You know, now it's in the same unified system. We can grab these things, put them together much quicker. So let's see what we can do to make this hang convincingly as a weighted object from a line. Right, so the first thing we do, let's go to the right view here and the viewport, and let's grab a spline pen, and let's just draw. It doesn't matter how, if it's not even in the right place now, we're just going to put it somewhere near the plane and then just click it up here so you get the line. Okay, and escape out. Right, so now if we go to our perspective view, I think we've done a pretty good job of getting that in a similar place to where we need it. Right, so let's just call that plane. Go back to model mode, and let's just move that over to there, so we've roughly got the line. Right, so if we go back to the spline and then go to the point mode, what we want to do is get this close but not intersecting the body of the plane. Okay, if we go inside, we cause all sorts of problems with it trying to work out what we've done, and it just spins all out of control. So make sure it's clear of the body like that. And now we need to just add a few dynamics on. Right, we've got our line, we've got our model, but we need dynamics. So on the spline, we right click, go to simulation tags and add on rope. First thing you do, take out the bendiness. We don't want anything to bend unnecessarily more than it should here. These are going to be very stable objects. Right, the next thing to do, let's just bring the radius of this down to like 0.1. Okay, we don't want it intersecting in the wrong place, so nice and tight, nice and close, so 0.1 will be fine. And now we need to attach this. So if we click on the top point here, and then we go down here where it says fixed, and we say set, and that should go purple to say that's now attached and fixed in the scene. We now need to attach the other end. Now this is where things, there's a couple of ways of attaching to this object, and I'll show you the way you shouldn't do it and what goes wrong, and then the way you should do it. Right, so before we can attach, we need to add a rigid body to the plane. So we go on the plane, we right click, simulation, rigid body. Okay. So let's go back to model mode. Right, so if I just press play now, obviously the plane it touched that a little bit, and then it just went, it just falls out the scene. Right, the reason for that obviously is we haven't got a connection between these two. So, that's also moved a little bit. Oh no, it's not, probably not. I just thought that had gone, no, it's still clear. Right, as long as it's clear of the bodywork, we shouldn't have intersection problems. Excuse me. So what we're going to do then is make a connection between the two. So there's a couple of ways. I'll show you the way that I thought would be the way to do it, and then I'll show you what goes wrong. So if you right click on spline, let's call that line. That's like the line, isn't it? If we right click on that, we go to simulation tags and we put on a rope belt, and then we highlight this end node, this end point, sorry. And on here, look, it's asking for the object, which is the plane in this case, what we're going to connect to, and then we press set. And as you can see, look, we're going nice and close. A little yellow thread shot out and connected to the plane. Right, all so far so good. Right, so if we zoom out, just deselect that, Now press play. Okay. Now if we just go down, I'll press play so you can see what's happening. Well, that's not quite right, is it? It's not holding it. It just seems to just be going down and down and down like it's been shot out of the sky. What is going on, right? So not impressed with that. I thought, oh great, something's not working. So yeah, I don't know what's happening there, but it just doesn't seem to behave how you want it to behave. It just seems to be stretching beyond belief. And then I looked at other ways of doing it. So let's take out the rope belt and let's right click on line and have a look what else there is. There is connector. Okay, so let's do the same with this connector. Now it's slightly different on setup here than the other one. We need to check this update live. All right, and as soon as we do, let's go in close and show you. As soon as you check the update live, it updated it and made the connection very similar to what you've just seen with the rope belt. Let's just zoom out now and see what this has done, if there's any difference between the two. Look at that, completely different. I don't understand what the other one is and why it's going so wrong. If you know, please leave it in the comments below. But if you use a connector and then just make that connection, you don't have to touch any of this. You just say update live and it will just drop it, connect it straight to it, because we've got it nice and close. The search radius is within the 1 centimeter, so it will just shoot out and pick up. Now obviously if it doesn't, you can increase these and it will try to include more, you know, more connections and more areas, but you know, it's fine by default, leaving it on 1. I think it was 3 by default, wasn't it? Yeah, leaving it on that and just clicking update live. Shoots it out, connects to the plane, press play, it hangs lovely on the end, right? That's the first step. Now, I just want to show you now how the intersections work with this plane. So that's hanging. Let's bring in a sphere. Let's make it say 1 or no, let's go 5 centimeters. Right, let's bring that up here and let's bring it so we can use it as like a little nudger. All right, so we can nudge into this plane and get it to move around. So if we right click on it and add a collider tag. Now if we run the simulation, we can grab this sphere now and we can just knock it into the plane and watch it just hang on this spline. There we go. Look. Now if I show you this from a slightly different angle, because I want to highlight a little issue here. Look, if we're getting really close here, look. We're not in the same line. Oh, I thought that was travelling along the same line there, and it wasn't. Okay, here we go. So let's start that again because it's all starting to get a bit out. Right, so we've got our ball. You see what's happening there? Look, as we move the ball somewhere near the plane, look, we seem to be not touching it, but we seem to be making it move. Right, so we're not quite what you'd expect. Right, it's got to move in weirdly. Right, the reason for that is it has a collision shape around this object that you can't see until you press something in the project settings. So if we go to Control D and then down here it says draw, okay, and we've not enabled the draw. So if we enable it and then we turn on rigid body shapes and we press play again, these are the contoured shapes. That is the collision margin effectively around this object. Now because this object is not a square, something very easy for it just to map around it, it's got a lot more shape and areas around this. On the auto setting, which it's on, it's just skimmed across it, almost like, you know, like it's got rubber stretched around the outside of it. Okay, so when we play that now and we take our sphere, when it touches the red lines, let's just make sure we're not missing Ah, we're missing it completely, look. When it touches the red lines, I don't know if that's, is that activate? Yeah, it is. Sorry, yeah, it got itself in a bit of a mess again there. Right, let's just do that again. As it touches the red lines, look, that is what the collision margin is around it, like that, look. You see? The other thing, as you probably saw there, is it did it even before it got to the red lines. Now the reason for that is if we go to collision on the rigid body tag, the thickness around these lines is 1.5 centimeters. So not only is it activating at this red line, it's activating 1.5 centimeters outside of this line, like it's got a force field around that. So we're not getting very close to the object. So this one we have to put down at, say, 0.1. Okay, so if we've got that thickness down at 0.1, and then we press play, and then we move this in, this will now activate exactly within 0.1 centimeter of that red line. Okay, so it's touching the red line and it's activating. So there's no longer a force field around the edge. So we've got that down, but we now have this not very good shape to be fitting around this. We want it to touch here, don't we? We want the ball to hit at any point of this plane, and it nudges it. So what we do is we change the collision shape to a convex hull. Okay, so if we now go back, press play, nothing's changed. That's because we need to change the geometry accuracy. At the moment, the accuracy is at 0, which means it's just skimming around the edges and it doesn't know where to go. So if we increase this accuracy to, say, 5, and then we need to run the sim again, just press play, it's now jumped all the way around the object. So it's not, it could be more accurate. So I need to show you here, look, it still has an issue here. It's jumped on and made all these big shapes. It's getting closer, you see. So if we now go to a 10, obviously it can slow things down the bigger the numbers, but it will be more accurate. It depends what kind of accuracy you're after. So now we've gone to a 10, look, it's almost right. We've got still a little issue there, but we're not going to push it any further for now. I think that is pretty good, right? It's gone around all of the shapes. So now if we run the sim by pressing play, we grab our sphere as our little nudger, we should now be able to get really close to this object. Look, just gently nudge it and tease it. Look at that, and we let it swing. Let's turn off all of this so you can see what's happening. So if we go Control D, all we've got to do is say uncheck the enable, and then it will turn it off. Or if you want to see what's going on, we just turn it on there. Right, so let's run that again. See where our little ball goes. Now you can see that it's very, very close. It's within 0.1 of a centimeter now of touching the bodywork. Ah, hang on. There we go. That's it. So now the sim's running. It works fine. You just have to sometimes refresh things, you know, just to make them work. So I think you'll agree. Ah, I know why. I know why. This is another thing I need to mention. So that plane, even though it was running, even though the play was running, let's just try that again. So just leave that running. And then after a while, right, there's no movement at all now. So if we take our ball up, nothing's activating. Let's make sure that we're actually going to be hitting it. There we go. It's kind of woke it up there because it touched it. But what I want to show you is this. That swings because it's been hit by that ball, right? But after a certain time, it completely stops. Okay, there's no movement at all. Now you'd expect it's swaying slightly, a little bit of movement still happening. It's switching off the dynamics, and then it's waking up again as we're touching it. So if we don't want it to switch off, we want it to keep moving gently, say in a slight breeze or something, or for momentum, you know, it's been hit by this ball, it would just keep moving. What we do is we go to dynamics, and we go to this bit called deactivation. So at the moment it's saying after 60 frames it will, and after these thresholds of 10 centimeters and angles of 10 degrees, it will turn off, right? After these settings have come into play. So if we don't want it to turn off, we turn off the sleep strength, and so there won't be any percentage of sleep strength. It will just keep moving. Okay, there won't be anything to stop it. Hope that makes sense. I'm going to go into this a bit more detail in another video, but it's basically how long it takes to deactivate the simulation. Okay, now let's just see if there's any movement there. So let's take the timer off. We want this to run. Alright, so we've got nothing. Let's just try that again. Yeah, we had no timer. So let's just put the timer way up there. Let's put the thresholds. Can we go way up high or way down low? Let's just give that a. Alright, let's see what we've got. I basically don't want it to stop. I want it to keep swinging. It doesn't want to turn off. It wants to just keep swinging. And that's where we use deactivation. Alright, so that's just slowed down because it's just lost the momentum. So now we want to just move this. Alright, so we've disturbed it nicely with the ball. And let's just see when it slows down. Does it stop completely? Does it keep moving? I think there's still movement there. Yeah, it's basically, you know, this is a really useful thing, deactivation, because I don't know if you've say cloned about 1,000 spheres and you drop them into a bowl, they keep moving. They never settle completely still and turn off like you know, like if you dropped a load of marbles into a bowl, they would all jump around and then they'd stop, right? In cinema, there's little glitchy issues sometimes where you got intersections and things just don't settle and things will just keep moving. You've probably seen this. They keep sliding around and moving and popping around. This is what this is for. So it's deactivating any movement after a certain time. Now I will go over these 4 steps on this deactivation in the next video when I talk about colliders and different things I'm going to be doing next. So I'll leave that for the next video. So I hope this one has helped with the hanging things, complex objects. You can hang anything now from a spline, and very convincingly, you know, it will move around lovely like this. If you want more movement in the spline, we haven't actually gone over that, have we? The line itself, if we go on to it's down as adaptive, right? We usually change this to uniform and we add, you know, say like 20 steps in here or something. Now, before you press play, you need to go back to the connector if you make any changes to the spline, and then you have to redo it. Sometimes this will jump to things. I don't think it has this time, but sometimes it will jump all over the place and you have to just make sure it resets. Let's just see now if we've got. I'm just trying to look at. You can actually have a look at the points as well on the spline. If we go to Control D and we go to enable the draw, we can turn that one off and we can turn on particles. Look, and it shows you all of these splines, all of the lines. So we've said 20, and there should be 20 of those red dots on there. So it's showing you that the line has been divided into those amount of lines, you see. So if we now go to 10, and then we click on it should be showing us that. Why isn't that showing us it? It should be showing us our, here we go. So now it's got 10 dots, you see. So if we, every time you make any changes to these, say 20, see, it's dropped up to 20. Now that fell off. I'm glad it did fall off, because that tells me that we need to do this reconnection. Okay, every time you change lines, you add more points to it, take points away, we have to go back to our connector, then just jiggle that connector for it to get a new connection back on. There we go. Let's move our sphere out the way because it's having a trouble hanging. And then now there's more splines there. So if we add a little bit of turbulence in the scene, let's just bring that up. There we go. That bring the scale up a little bit. So yeah, not as strong. Let's turn that down. But as you can see, that the line is a convincing line. It's been held there. It looks exactly how you'd expect it. We've got some turbulence now. Yeah, really, really happy with it. I think it's so easy to do now. Now we've got it all in one unified system. So have a play. Any comments below about anything you don't understand here, or other spline rope related hanging objects from splines related issues, or things that you want me to do next in the tutorial. Put them in the comments and let's have a go. Right, let's learn together. Let's do it in the next video. Some good stuff coming up using rigid body and explaining a few more of these things that we touched on today. So my name is Mike German from Visual Animation. Take care. Goodbye for now.